Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining us today. We'll just let everyone join the room. Give us a couple of seconds to get everyone in. Uh, cool. We've still got a few people arriving, but welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Really excited to take you through this session with Russell today. Really excited for you to learn from him. Quick introduction to us before we hand over to Russell. As you may know, I'm James Church. I'm the author of a best-selling book called Investable Entrepreneur. Also the co-founder at Robot Mascot. We're an investment readiness agency that specialize in helping founders convince investors. We build out their pitch decks, their materials for pre-seed, seed, and Series A funding. Supported more than 3,000 founders to date, work with founders from all over the world to raise capital, whether that be in the UK, but also the Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa, Australia, the USA, all over the world. And when they apply our strategy, the strategies I talk about in my book, they become 40 times more likely to raise investment, secured more than 220 million to date. And we've won a number of awards along the way for our approach. So really what we want to see at Robot Mascot, the reason we put on events like this, the reason that we have experts like Russell come to speak with you, the reason we do the work that we do is because we want to see great ideas and innovation flourish. And personally, I just get so frustrated at seeing so many great ideas fail to raise investment because they can't communicate properly with investors. They can't get their business model across in a way that makes them say, yes, I want to invest. So that's what drives us. That's why we bring experts like Russell to come and speak to you on various topics around entrepreneurship. Little plug for anyone who hasn't been to a session with me yet. If you want to join me for a fundraising strategy session, where every week I'll talk about how you can apply our methodologies to your business to go and raise capital. If you want to do that, feel free to join one of our strategy sessions. You can find the details online. I'll also post a link into the chat very shortly. And feel free, it would be great to see you to register to one of those and come along and see whether what we do can help you raise hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds to launch, scale and grow your business. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Russell, he'll do a much better job than I can at introducing himself. So he'll give you the intro and take you through today's session around how you might hire for your startup and scale up. So Russell, over to you.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Russell White. Let me just get my presentation up for you, which is here. Hope you can all see that. Good afternoon. My name is Russell White, as I just said, and I am a director of a company called Future Work. We specialize in mid to senior management roles for a range of organizations, but have recently been focusing much more on companies that have been scaling their organization and bringing people on board that will obviously help achieve the founders what their goals are effectively. So yeah, as I say, I've been working in recruitment for about 40 years now. I've also worked client side as a talent acquisition specialist, and indeed one of my clients is ex-clients is on the call, and done it for a data analytics company as well as a CRM agency, and more recently with an AI consultancy as well. In terms of what I will be talking about today, it's about hiring for a startup and scale up. And I will start by saying that there is a difference. So the importance of hiring, why it's key to business growth and success, the differences in terms of hiring for a startup versus a scale up, employee value proposition. What is it and why is it important? We'll touch on the use of AI as well, briefly. I'm sure that you hear lots about AI in the general press and media, but I will talk briefly about AI and what to look out for if you are looking to hire as far as AI is concerned, and then hopefully provide strategies and best practices for effective hiring. And I'll try and do that all within 45 minutes. So, quickly understanding startups. Startups are at very early stages of development, usually an entrepreneur, a founder, really focusing on establishing a viable product or service. What do you need in terms of your employees and when you start to bring people on board? Well, initially you're looking for people who can wear multiple hats. Individuals will have to come in who can do lots of different things, from making the coffee, fixing the computer, to doing the actual task in which they are being employed to do. And typically you will be hiring people who have a broad set of skills within their own discipline. So they've actually covered a number of different areas within their specific discipline, but most importantly, they share the same vision and values that you do. So it's important to find people who absolutely believe and have a genuine interest in the product or service that you are looking to bring to market. In terms of scale ups, it's slightly different. You've established your business. You've established there as a market. You've got investments, and you're now looking for growth. And so consequently, you're looking for slightly different people. Those people are individuals who can basically establish processes, in my view, that will get the business to a much higher level as quickly as you want it to be. So, and that is very different to the people who are who you employ at the startup stage. Those people are generally a little bit more risk averse. They're prepared to take chances. They're often in it because they see an opportunity in terms of equity, as well as making money, and they enjoy to a certain degree, they enjoy the buzz of actually starting something, which is different to what someone who is joining a scale up is doing. They will have probably had experience of working in a larger organization, understand about the operational side of their area that they are responsible for, and understand how to actually build a team beneath them to then sort of establish the growth and development of the company. So consequently, you're looking for people with leadership capabilities, a scalability mindset, which is what I call it, as well as very specialized skills. And in my experience as a recruiter, you have to look for the different personality traits of each of the two different areas. And there is a third area, which is obviously for an established business, where someone actually goes in and takes on a role that has already been established within an established business, and effectively all they're doing is just kind of changing gears a little bit, just sort of having a light touch on the hands of the tiller in terms of the direction of their team and their department. And basically are enjoy working in big companies where the culture is slightly different, or in fact very different to a startup, and equally to a scale up as well. Moving quickly on, so what would be the profile of someone who wants to join a startup? Well, clearly they're going to be entrepreneurial, high degree of initiative. They're going to be creative, and there's going to be a willingness for them to take risks. They're going to have to be adaptable. They're going to have to be passionate, and they're going to have to be committed. But equally, they're going to have that experience and that enjoyment factor that they get from actually creating something, usually from scratch. So it's a unique. In my view, they are unique characteristics, and they're normally quite ebullient, quite outgoing, and have often have no fear. That's what I've found in the past. For a scale up, it's slightly different. They have a proven track record. They will have a track record, either probably have come from a larger organization and want to take it into a smaller company. Again, see the opportunity. To a degree, will have an entrepreneurial flair. However, it's not as necessary or as great as, say, for someone who is joining a startup. But most importantly, they will be a people person. They will have strong leadership skills. They will have done something similar before. They know how to get the best, how to motivate and get the best out of their team. What are the challenges for scale ups? Well, I think firstly, it's talent scarcity. It's hard to identify people who, particularly if they're coming from having come from a larger corporate environment, who have the wherewithal and capability to actually understand and grow something, and sort of really set out the stall for their teams. It's all about, to a certain degree, about maintaining culture. The founder, you as entrepreneurs and founders, will have a view about what the culture of your organization is going to be. You will be imparting that to your senior leadership team that you employ. But as the business grows, it becomes more challenging to preserve that, as it becomes, dare I say it, more corporate. Equally, it's about integrating those people efficiently. So putting in those, as I say, we'll come on to this, hopefully, about employee value propositions, about integrating these new hires into this, into the culture, and maintaining what those propositions really are. And then at the same time, you want to keep them motivated and engaged and retained, because I think one of the challenges for any scale ups, and I have seen this, is that there's often quite a high turnover of staff. What their expectations were in terms of the business, whether it's the product, the service, or indeed the culture and the direction of the company, they will quickly move on. These people are often in high demand as well. So there are, even in these straitened times, they will be being approached by other people, because they are very specific. They are very specific skills. What is an EVP? Your employee value proposition. Well, the definition I discovered, or I know, is it's unique to you, unique to your business, to what you want to do. It's the unique set of benefits, opportunities, and experiences that an organization offers to its employees in exchange for their skills, capabilities, and contributions. And that is more than just kind of, 30 days holiday, bring your dog to work, working hybridly, remote working, whatever, all those elements. It's about the values. What is what is the brand? What is it you're trying to get across, and that you want people to actually buy into that. Certain things that work are, career growth and development opportunities. So you bring someone in, particularly in a scale up environment, you're bringing people in, and you're saying, well, we are at position X at the moment, and we're going to get to position Z. Do you want to go on the journey? It's those elements. It's also competitive compensation as well. So you're aligning your salaries and benefits with the industry standards. You don't want to pay over the top, because you'll probably get because you're overvaluing yourself. But equally, you don't want to undervalue them, because they will swiftly move on. How do you and then equally you want to show to as people come on board that you know what you're doing in terms of hiring. So you actually create what I would call a structured hiring process. So and you use it for every single role, whether it's a senior leadership role or a more junior position. And usually you may hire you can use a third party like myself to do that, or you can bring someone on board to be a talent acquisition manager who would manage all those elements for you, would manage the branding, would get the message in terms of your business out there into the market so that people become aware of you, and they kind of think, I'd like to come and work for this work for this company. As we sort of move into as the 21st century inextricably moves on, and you know, you have Gen Z and now Gen A coming into the workforce. What we've learned, and there's lots of research that shows that done by various consultancies, is that they value diversity and inclusion in the businesses that they work for equally, so they want to work for a company that acknowledges and recognizes that, and enjoys uh, and I think is also very broad-minded in terms of the people that it wants to bring in. Equally, by having people from different backgrounds that don't look the same as the founders, that come from different backgrounds, have different experiences, different countries potentially. What that will do is that will enrich the whole the talent base of the business, and bring those different experiences will enhance the proposition and direction of the company as it grows and evolves. So that's broadly what EVP is. There's a lot more, and I could probably do a whole sort of 2-hour session just on employee value proposition. And you know, for instance, this week I was shown a new tool that can actually measure and assess a business's value proposition, employee value proposition, which I will be exploring further, see whether it's any good. But it's an area that I think is going to become even more important as we move through the 21st century. I think we have to touch on AI a little bit because everybody is talking about it. I think nearly every conversation I have, we have a conversation about AI in recruitment. There are two elements as far as there are two people who are using AI in recruitment: the people who are hiring and the people looking for jobs. I'm not going to talk about how AI can impact you as a business, but I'm just going to point out certain elements in terms of how applicants are using AI at the moment, because I think this is important. There are tools that now exist in the market where a candidate can upload their CV to a tool. And what this tool will do is, whilst they're sleeping, it will apply for jobs on their behalf. It will amend the CV so that it mirrors the actual role, so that candidates actually look ideal and perfect for these opportunities. Equally, there are now tools whereby when people are doing psychometric tests or other other online evaluations, they'll have two laptops in front of them. They'll be doing it on Zoom, and they'll be asking questions, and they'll be pumping those questions into their other laptop, and it will be answering it, and it will be answering those questions, and these candidates will look great. What's that doing for you, for companies that are hiring, is that the number of applicants that people are now receiving for jobs has increased by, in some instances, up to 100%, and in some instances even more, but it's around 30-40%, because people are now beginning to use these tools. You know, LinkedIn, dare I say it, it's very easy to apply for jobs. People are just pumping stuff out all the time. And I think that people have to be very, very wary about when one is looking at CVs and applicants as to whether that CV has been generated using an AI tool, a generative AI tool. You can spot them, and there are indeed tools that you can run these CVs through to see whether they have been created by AI. And just an interesting adjunct to that, a little interesting note, there's a company called Anthropic that has created the Claude generative AI platform. They on their website, they've got lots of jobs that they advertise, mainly for engineers. They will say, we will reject any CV that has been generated by AI. So I think that just tells you kind of that, you know, even the AI companies are acknowledge and recognize how people are actually using it. Uh, you know, there are AI tools that I'm actually exploring one next week, where that will actually manage the whole process more or less end to end, almost up to offer stage. But I think that these tools are still very much in their infancy, probably still in their first iteration, but they are coming. And you know, for someone like myself, who's you know, who specializes in finding people for companies, they are a concern. However, I do think that you still need that human intervention to look at what these AI tools are actually are providing, making sure that there's no bias in there. Make sure what's the term? Not ghosting. Making sure that there's no hallucinations going. That's the word. Hallucinations going on. It's coming up with erroneous information for you. There needs to be lots of checks and balances. And as I say, we're still very much in the at the genesis in terms of these tools. But it's coming, and it's coming very, very quickly. And then, you know, what are common hiring practices that you should be employing? Well, you need to write clear job descriptions. In this instance, I would say that, you know, generative AI could be your friend, but you know, don't take it verbatim. You know, whatever, if you use AI to create a job description, then what you need to do is make sure that it tallies with your EVP, with your employee value proposition, with what you actually need. So they're good. They're a good template. They're a good guideline. But I would never. I would say to someone. I say to my clients, do not just take something from a generative from ChatGPT, because because someone else will be using exactly the same prompts in their business, and they will create exactly the same job description as what you've done. But so you need to adapt these things. You need to obviously look at cultural fit assessments. So you're evaluating candidates who align with your company values. So, you know, what do they believe in? You know, why do they want to join? You know, what is their career trajectory? Does that align with the growth plans of the company? And again, you know, you need less risk averse people for scale ups. So people who can come in and actually fulfill and, you know, create a department, create a team, build a team, understand the overall objectives of the company and business, and make sure that their team, their department, whatever it might be, is moving alongside all the other teams and departments to achieve the goals set out by the founders, and hopefully by then, you know, equity stakeholders, etc. Referral programs. Some of the best people that you can ever find for your business are individuals that your current employees already know. So you set up a program whereby you reward your employees if they say, "Oh, come, you know, my friend Johnny is perfect for this job." Johnny comes on board and you know, does a great job. Then you reward your employee. what you reward your employees is up to you, but clearly it will be a lot less than what you'd have to pay, for instance, my fee, if you were doing it through myself. Or indeed, if you're going to do advertising on a job board or LinkedIn, which can, because as a lot of them are now moving towards cost per click models, and obviously you're getting hundreds of responses, it's going to get expensive. And then equally, what you're doing is you're getting continuous improvement as far as your hiring practices are concerned. So you're actually talking to even people that you've said thank you, but no thank you to. How can we improve what did you think of our process? How did it compare to other processes that you may be in? What could we do better? What did we do good? What could we improve on? What did we do bad? I think one of the most important things, and I'm a big advocate of this, is that if you are advertising for a role, for a role or an opportunity, you do get several hundred responses, that you actually, and something 90% aren't appropriate, that you actually write to them and say thank you very much indeed for your application. In this instance, you weren't successful because, and that because could be because there are other people who are more aligned to their skill sets are more aligned. They've got more experience. It could be a number of things, and at every single stage when you're rejecting people, you are writing to these people. And the reason why you're doing that is because you want those people to think, well, okay, I didn't get the job, but they were really nice people. And my mate John down the road, he's looking for a job. He might be right for that company. And again, it's about your brand, it's about your proposition, it's about your product, it's about your service. You're spreading the word. I'm not sure what's on the next slide. Is this on the next slide? Okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, it is actually. So sourcing and attracting candidates. Well, recruitment marketing is something that I dare I say, I kind of almost pioneered back in the 90s. We back in the well, 40 years ago, job ads were little sort of sort of 15 words in the back of a newspaper. What we did was we started using our clients' brands in magazines to advertise jobs, and not just their logo, their whole brand. So we branded the ad so it aligned with their consumer advertising. That is one, so people recognize those brands, and there is an element of consistency across all your marketing materials. How do you get candidates? Well, job boards, LinkedIn, something called Angel List, which is another online platform. There are lots of them. It's important to use the right platform for the right role. So, for instance, I wouldn't necessarily use a generalist job board to recruit a finance director. I may use LinkedIn or a specialist financial recruitment job board. Recruitment agencies, clearly we still have a role to play in the recruitment process, and I think that one of the things I've done in the past for the clients where I worked, you set up what's called a preferred supplier list. So you identify which recruitment partners that you are going to work with, and you absolutely keep them appraised of, your plans, their developments, your developments, how many people you're looking to employ in any particular area, and you absolutely engage with them, open days, all that sort of thing. My favorite clients have always been the ones where they've involved me in every single element. I remember going to years ago, I used to work with a very large, well-known fashion group, and I used to go to their spring collection. that of all that, I don't buy dresses. But I went. They used to take me to their fashion shows and said, "This is our range for this year," and I'm just a recruiter. But they really did involve. I wasn't the only recruiter; they had other recruiters, but they really involved their suppliers in their in their business. We felt like we were a really important part of their organization. And then finally, as I said, the employee value proposition. Keep coming back to this. You really need to develop a really strong EVP. What is it that makes you different? Why should people come and want to work for you? What are the challenges within the business? And I think it's important to be, when you're talking to candidates, potential applicants, it's really important to be transparent. This is going to be great, and this is not going to be so great. And how would you cope with that? And when things aren't going so well for us, or we have challenges in this area, or we want to break into this market, or we want to kind of crack this area where our competitor is the market leader. you know it's all those elements, really. It's about being transparent, and being able to, and the reason why you want to be transparent is because you want people who are going to come on the journey with you, and they're going to stay with you for a long time. So that's about it, really. I mean, Dave, I've rattled through this quite rapidly. This is now the chance for you to ask me any questions that you would like. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Russell. Brilliant as ever. Let's see what questions we get in the chat. Please can I access the recordings? Yeah, this is being recorded and it will be uploaded by our team onto YouTube and probably shared on our social channels over the next few days. So after this, I'll ping the recording over to the team and they'll get that out on YouTube. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel. Search for Robot Mascot on YouTube and you'll find the recording there, and you can catch up on anything that the Russells talked about. Has anyone got any questions while you've got him here? Anyone actively looking to recruit for their startup or scale up, or maybe you're starting to put together a bit of a recruitment plan for ahead of funding, and you've got some questions around who you should employ and how you might want to do it?
Okay. There are a couple of questions here, James, in the
Yeah,
in the chat. So
cool.
I'm gonna answer, and I'm gonna put these in order. So Steve has asked, am I seeing more use of fractional hires? The short answer is very definitely. And I think there are a number of reasons for that. And I can talk about this from a marketing perspective, because that is an area that I've specialized in for a very long time. I think that what's happening specifically within that area is that medium-sized companies generally can't afford the sort of 180, 200,000 pound a year for a chief marketing officer. And basically what a CMO does is works closely with the board, making sure that the marketing is aligned with the overall objectives of the business. And so what they're doing is really setting out the stall in terms of the strategy, and then businesses are employing people on less money to actually implement what the CMO is asking for. So for instance, if let's say, and I'm using the CMO, but I've seen it in with finance directors, and I've also seen it to a certain degree within talent acquisition as well. But talking about the C-suite at the moment, what they're doing is that you have these people that come in sort of point the business in the right direction from a strategic perspective, and then you have, let's say, for instance, a head of marketing who would then manage all the different elements of the marketing mix. So the brand, the growth, the CRM, the loyalty, whatever it might be, basically. And you hire people who are kind of more doers. The thing about doers, though, is that that is also becoming a little bit sort of thin, because a lot of content creation, a lot of the things that have been sort of done, always been done by humans, are now beginning to be done by AI tools and automation in particular. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
So sort of fractional roles at the top and then sort of doers at the bottom is what you're seeing.
Kind of, yeah, 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 yeah.
Cool. So we've got another question here. Do you recommend that UK businesses hire in the UK due to tax implications or actually hire them from another country?
Well, I think one of the challenges for hiring from other countries are work permit situations. If you're, my understanding is that it's to hire from overseas for people to work in the UK. It's pretty challenging for small businesses to get the right sort of to get the visa for the individuals. It's all they also have to prove that they can't get someone from the in the UK already to do that role. And it's also quite expensive and it can take a long time. So, you know, if you're thinking about offshoring, then yes, I don't think there's any issue with that. But obviously, that might have tax implications. Can be cheaper, if you're using people in wherever where labor costs are less. That's not that's possible, and they've got the expertise. Yes, but then obviously they need managing, and the way in which you manage them is slightly different, and they're going to be hands off. They might not necessarily be your employees. They might be employed by a third party that you've engaged to manage those people. So it's quite an interesting. It's quite interesting. But I would actually say I would recommend hire people in the UK.
Well, Um, Pamela asks, sort of imagining a startup with sort of minimal funds, how does someone start very low with a very low offer while working together to kind of raise the funds for a startup? And I guess what she's saying is how would you negotiate this so that you can pay them quite a low rate initially, and then as the business, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pamela, but as the business kind of scales up and has more cash available, can kind of increase that kind of take home salary and pay for the individual.
Indeed. So I think from my experience, if you're going to bring someone on board, they have to absolutely buy into, what your proposition is, what your product and service is, but most importantly, that they're someone that you trust, and b you get on you're going to be spending, sort of 40, 50 hours a week with this individual. What would you offer them? Well, you basically give them equity. You'd say, right, you come on board. I can't pay you, the £120,000 that you were earning when you were there. I can only pay you 80,000 or 70,000, whatever it might be. I'll give you equity. And when we start to make profit, then clearly, that equity stake that you have, you will then share in dividends effectively.
Hmm.
Um, so that's probably how I would do it.
Yeah, I'd agree. And when you're doing that, make sure you're using like an EMI share option scheme so it's tax efficient for everyone
Yeah,
involved. But it would be very common to have something called an options pool as that you allocate. So maybe 10% of your equity allocated to an options pool. And then you can offer that in lieu of salary. So it's part salary, part equity. So they're really bought into the success because if they succeed, they get a share of the exit. They also get a share of the dividends if you get to the point in where you're profitable enough to be paying dividends. Um, but something I'd also look at in terms of your financial planning is increasing those base salaries. So let's say you're bringing a team together and you're going to be the CEO, the CMO, the CTO, and you're going to be working in this and you're giving yourself those titles because you're kind of running the company and you're pushing it forward. As you move through the business, of course, when it comes to exit, people will be looking at the salaries and saying, well, we need to replace those roles and we need to replace those with market rate salaries. So usually the way when we do forecasting would be to show that those salaries go up year on year to a point where by year 5 of the forecast, those salaries for those roles are at you've increased your own pay and your own take home. You've also got the share options, but when you leave the company, your pay packet is that of what an industry level would be to replace you in your job at exit. And then that way, there's no, when someone comes to buy your company, then go, well, your profit isn't as much as you think it is. Because if we add in what it would actually cost to replace you and your top team, that's going to wipe off 500K from the profit, and therefore
Yeah.
we're going to offer you a lower deal at exit. So just bear that in mind. But certainly initially, just use those share option schemes and get people bought in on the vision that they're going to succeed with you, and they're going to take a pay cut in return for equity in this incredible venture. Would
Yeah.
be the go, I think. So follow up on that remote working one. All of our people currently are all remote, but the accountant told us we need to register an office in another country to hire people outside of the UK.
Ah,
Possibly. I'm not an accountant, but I think that there is certainly issues around employment law and what counts if you've got someone that you've got as a like on a consultancy or a freelancer type agreement. So they're remote working and you're paying them, they're invoicing you and you're paying them. But it turns out that after 12 months, 18 months, they're basically working for you full time. Under employment law in the UK, you need to be offering them employment and therefore all the benefits that come with employment. And that might be what your accountant's talking about, in that therefore you might want to have a secondary office offshore that hires these people under different employment law, possibly. It might be something to do with that. So it can get a bit tricky. As you
yeah.
say, something to do with visas as well. So it's about being clearly defined as to what work is an employee doing and what work is a contractor doing, and does that contracting kind of tip into actually this is just pseudo employment without all
Yeah.
of the things you have to do as an employer to keep your, in terms of keeping your employees safe, offering them pensions, giving them certain benefits. So yeah, it's a bit of a grey area and something you probably need to look into more with an HR professional than a recruiter, I would imagine. Russell, is that?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So Love has said, how do you see team building for an AI native startup led by a solo founder who is non-tech will be a team of how do I see how do I see team building? Um, Someone who's not, so I think, well, I think initially, Love, the answer to that is that if you are a non-technical person, then clearly the first person you will need to hire is someone who is technical, who understands all the elements of AI, LLMs. Depends what it's doing really. But has a technical has a tech background, an IT background, understands about the programs, understands about generative, understands about agents, agentic elements of AI. And but again, I come back to this, Love, in that they really have to buy into your proposition and what it is you are looking to create. Because and I think that what I'm seeing at the moment, obviously, because I explore a lot of AI tools in recruitment naturally, and some of the tools that I saw a year ago AI recruitment tools I saw a year ago are now obsolete. It moves very, very the whole area around AI, it is moving at pace and at scale that in my lifetime I've never seen. I don't think anyone's ever seen before, actually. And what's coming down I see what's coming down the tracks, and I think it was 2 weeks ago Alexa launched Alexa Plus. And this is an AI agent on your Alexa smart speaker. And from what I've read, that I think it's just in California at the moment, but it's coming here soonish. From what I can understand, is that it can integrate with lots of other AI agents, other platforms, other websites, and can do all sorts of different things for you. Um, and this is going to knock out a lot of other current AI tools that currently exist. I think that AI, ChatGPT, Claude, uh, Copilot, etc., are going to have potentially negative effects on Google, on search engines, because you won't necessarily need to have a search engine. So, how they're going to advertise, how they're going to make their money, I think moving forward, I suspect, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be challenging, for them
Yeah.
because you're typing in things.
So yeah, I mean, it all goes back to if you're building a team, you want a crack team of AI experts. You need to appeal to their vision, to their drive. They need to buy into that vision, but make sure whoever you bring in, if you're doing it under giving them some share options for a lower salary, make sure they vest those shares.
Yeah,
So if they leave within a certain time frame or don't deliver on the things that you want them to deliver on, you get those shares back. And the biggest mistake founders make at an early stage when bringing in a team is they offer them shares, they just give them the shares, and then they never hear from them again, or they get really below par work, or they fall out and someone walks away, and then that equity's gone and you're never getting it back. If you
yeah,
have vesting shares, you can get that equity back if they go down as a quote unquote bad lever. And that protects you, it protects the business, it protects your future investors. So they'll be wanting to see that happen. But it's just about bringing together a great team of people with different skill sets that all want to work toward a vision. Building a startup's a team sport. So even as a solo founder, your job is to bring a team of people around you, whether that be advisors in return for some vesting equity, whether that be consultants, or whether that be employees, bringing them in and building a team around you, and you're much more likely to succeed. Um, I think that brings us to time. So look, Russell, thank you very much for being with us today. Huge value in the insights. If you've got any questions, I'm sure Russell's more than happy for you to connect with him on socials or LinkedIn and
100%. Yeah,
ask any questions that we weren't able to cover in this session. But look,
yeah.
thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you, Russell, for being here. Keep an eye out on your inboxes. In a few weeks, we'll probably start promoting our next event, which is all around kind of the due diligence phases of investment after, once you've got your deck, once you're pitching for investment, what are the things investors are actually looking for to kind of close the deal? What does that due diligence and legal process look like? So keep an eye out for that. And hopefully we'll see you in that event in May. So yeah, thank you all very much. See you all soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.